Hello. That's right. I came back. Welcome to another speed build. As you can see, and based on the title, I'm building, you guessed it, a little cottage. It's swan themed. Also Nightwish themed. Yeah, I don't have much special to say about it yet. Um, but yeah, I'm back. I'm building for people again. I mean, I've always been building in my spare time, but as you can see, this is a build that I've built for the people to download and to watch me build. Haha, look at that. It is taking shape. Anyway, this is Swanheart. It is a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom little cottage type of deal. I built it in Henford on Bagley in the Bramblewood. Yes, that is indeed what it is called. Uh, It has, as I said, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen, a living room, the essentials. There's a little library. It has the video slowing down, my favorite. Oh boy. And it also has a pond with swans, hence the name. Now, some of you might be thinking, hold on, isn't that like a song? And you'd be right. Congrats. But no, I was inspired by a Nightwish song and I was like, damn, this is pretty. I want to build something based on this. And so I did. Now we're here. And my whole idea for it was there's some really pretty like greenish blue windows and there's swans in the game. Why don't I just do that? So as you can see, the build is taking shape. It's not very swan themed yet, and honestly, swan themed was not very feasible in this game, just because there's not a lot of bird stuff in general, but the only swan stuff was just those swans in the pond and Get Famous has a bunch of swan stuff that I didn't want to use because it was not the vibe. The vibe of this is like quaint, low tech. I live off alone in the woods. I did have sort of a narrative for this, like very loosely. I imagined someone who lived here. Basically, my idea, and this will take shape a bit later because right now we're in a kitchen, and unfortunately, this is not one of those kitchens that informs you a ton about the people living in it. But eh. So, my idea was that this is a home for some sort of writer or a poet, if you will, who lives alone. Yeah, that's a word. I'm gonna linger on that word, of course. He lives alone. He lives alone, perhaps with a child that doesn't exist. Oh, you might be thinking, what the hell does that mean? It means I don't know how to explain my own goddamn builds. Anyway, what I had in mind, so a lyric in the song is, "In my world, love is for poets, never the famous balcony scene." And I was thinking this would be cool if I had like a poet living here. So I made a writing room or an office, if you will, and that has, things to write with. I like it. I think it's pretty. I also made a little balcony that we'll see later. So you have your yeah, yeah, there's the office. Look at that. It's pretty. I love it. And so you have your office for your quote unquote poet, which would probably just be someone with a high writing skill who has 12 copies of Book of Poets or Book of Poems. And then that's who that room with the double bed would be for. I imagine that's like the only real person. And then the other room I make ends up being a nursery. So another major theme of the song Swanheart is kind of like tragedy, if that makes any sense. There is like a degree of tragedy involved in like the lyrics and the narrative the lyrics create. I actually have them pulled up because I knew I would I knew I would talk about this. Also, I'm sorry if I laugh too much. I'm nervous still. Um I don't do this often. Also, my dad is downstairs and I don't want him to hear me because he's going to start asking questions like why the hell am I talking to myself? and I don't want to answer those, but hopefully he won't come upstairs. So, um, among the lyrics, there's lyrics about all those beautiful people, I want to have them all, stuff like that, implying, isolation, loneliness, kind of a longing for human connection. Uh, yeah, in my world, love is for poets. Um, Stuff like that. I think it's a really pretty song. Also, while I'm here, I may as well talk about something that doesn't actually matter. That's called the wallpaper. So, what I usually do when I use the cottage living wallpaper with the flowers on it and the wainscoting, I think it's wainscoting, the flowers and the wainscoting, is usually I will alternate the left and the right. But I didn't do that in this build for some reason. Also, speaking of this build, oh, this is going fast. I'm like losing track of all I wanted to say. I thought I wouldn't have enough to say today. In this, that living room area took me way, way, way longer than you see because this room was a stupid shape. It ends up being shaped like the squids from Splatoon. And I think honestly that's what I deserve with my life is a squid room. Unfortunately not a swan room. But yeah, I did my best to make this swan themed. It's more so like vaguely Nightwish themed, but more so Swan than Nightwish. I don't know if that doesn't make any sense. Wait. Anyway, this is the room that ends up being the never mind. We'll get there eventually. But no, so were there any other Nightwish kind of references I put in? Not really, except some of what I had of like the office or the writing room or what had the study, the study, and then like one of the decorations I ended up putting in later was kind of making me think of Imaginarium. And I was like, hey, damn, a writer by a fire? A painting of the ocean? A painter on the shore? I know that song. And so I kind of unintentionally did that. And there weren't any other Nightwish songs I could really think that this related to, but my main inspiration was definitely swans and uh, a kind of vibe. I also I'm sorry, I can't talk. Here's the roof. I like what I did with this roof, that kind of curve to it. I think that ended up looking really nice. Uh, Gave it just a little bit more character. I also like how I did a two-tone the uh, on the stone. I was originally going to go all white, and I think all white would have been really pretty. And believe me, it would have. Trust me, I know everything. I was gonna go with the all white, but then I did the chimney and that darker stone, and I was like, no, no, we got to do something different. I wanted to use that darker stone because I think it's also very beautiful, and so I gave myself everything I ever wanted in life and did it two-toned. And when will I ever get to the... Oh, here's the bathroom. This is all you're gonna see of it until the screenshots, because I honestly kind of forgot about it until I was taking the screenshots. And then in the middle of doing the bathroom, I had a small error with my recording and I cut out half of the footage. So that's fun. But you'll see more of the rest of the house, don't worry. Like the kitchen, we spend time in there. And this little back hallway. Uh I don't know if we come back to here actually, but this office you'll see more of. Like I'm gonna switch things out and stuff. It's gonna look nice, trust me. It's gonna look real nice. I'm gonna put wallpaper up and everything. But yes. So yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna fill up 30 minutes of voiceover. Oh no, I'm scared. Anyway, let's be scared together. So, this was the dining room. The frame rate died here. Fun fact, I have a laptop. It's not a very powerful laptop. It's 6 years old. I'm getting a new one actually. This computer is 6 years old, and every single one of those years is clearly visible on it. So it runs The Sims, it runs OBS, it runs my editing software. It could not run all three at once, especially with the amount of browser tabs I have open, which is unfortunately maybe more than it should be. I try to limit it, But hey, sometimes I want to leave things open so I can go back to them. Whatever. Anyway, here's the kitchen. The kitchen looks nice, I think. And there's a little bit less lag in here, so yay. I tried to decorate it kind of sparsely. I didn't want to go overly detailed with this place because I find that recording is honestly not tiring, just like it's a little bit stressful, honestly. I'm not used to that because I feel like I have to get everything perfect first try, and I kind of do because I'm saying to myself, this is going to be the final version, and once it's done, I'm going to let go of it. And that's not how I normally build. I typically hold on to builds and keep chipping away and editing them over time for like years, it possible. Oh, there's the bathroom. For years at a time, give or take. Like I never really let go of builds, and I feel like letting go is something I need to learn to do, particularly in The Sims, and just being able to say something is done and move on from it. Because if you don't, then like that kind of stunts you creatively, and I don't want to be stunted creatively by The Sims 4 of all things. Anyway, this is the nursery I was talking about. I never built nurseries, and I think this one was really cute. I liked the color scheme. It's definitely a color scheme I do a lot in my in my builds, like in my personal time, not necessarily builds I've shown here. I've shown two builds here. This is one of them. But I really like how this turned out with the really light kind of creamy colors in the wallpaper and some of the woods, and then the darker color in some of the woods, and then of course the white. And I do inject a little bit more color in this, but I also wanted this to stand out from the other bedroom and from the rest of the house because that other bedroom has a very strong blue theme, which was kind of inspired by the cover of the album that the song was from, that being called Ocean Born. Haha. And I don't know why I ha-ha'd at that, but it's a very predominantly blue album cover with like pops of other colors. Like I believe I don't have it pulled up. There's like an owl holding a scroll with a red ribbon around it. And there's like an eye, and I believe the eye might be red. And there's like a moon and an orange moon, which could just be a planet. I don't know. I'm really, really bad with space. I got like a C in Earth Science, and that was in ninth grade. And I have not taken an Earth Science class since. But I did kind of slightly try and do some color stuff. So this one was supposed to be very light, very kind of creamy and airy, and also very nondescript in its color tone because I didn't want to fully like impose a personality upon this fake baby. It was more so set up for a child that may or may not exist one day and ends up not existing, unfortunately. So I imagine the person in the blue bedroom is like the sole inhabitant of this house. They are someone who has wanted to marry, wanted to have children, all of that stuff, and has never been able to. Calling back to the lyrics. Love is for poets, but not this poet. And so I thought setting that up was interesting. I was also thinking of making it like abandoned and putting like cobwebs in there. I forgot because, again, building like this kind of stresses me out, and I forget things when I stress out. But I think it could have been a cool detail if you want to add that. But I also like that I didn't add that. So normal people who who don't make Sims builds about sad writers with no children who want children but can't have them can design builds how they like and can just move right into here. Speaking of which, I playtested this. It works. I don't believe I had to move anything too, which was really cool. But oh, that was the painting I was talking about because it's the ocean, and another one of the lyrics in another famous song is a painter on the shore imagined all the world. Haha. That doesn't make any sense if you've never listened to Nightwish, which I don't know how many people watching this have, but I've listened to them quite a bit, so like it makes sense to me. Anyway, here's the balcony. I like this little balcony. I like using that one window that doesn't match anything else because I just thought it looked cool. And hey, if it looks cool, it goes. Rule of cool and all that. Speaking of rule of cool, actually no, this doesn't have anything to do with rule of cool. But one little detail I ended up adding into the room that I don't think I've shown yet. We'll get there later, but some I want to mention it now because it's on my mind. Something I end up doing is one of the bedside tables. Typically, I like to imagine that if you were to have two people sleeping in a bed together, they would each have their own lamp on the bedside tables so that they could wake up independent of each other and whatnot. But I think I'm coming to it. Yeah, I ended up switching out one of the lamps for a plant because I'm thinking like that's not a bedside table that's ever used. It's just a plant, and I ended up putting like a book or something there, which kind of like whatever. It's a plant, so that's a bed. It's a double bed for one person, and I tried to use the details of the build to inform the viewer of the narrative I am crafting, and I think it turned out really cool. Anyway, this little sideboard here, I put some decorations up. For some reason, they didn't properly save, or one of them didn't. So I ended up replacing it. So in the screenshots, you're going to see a different urn here than the one I ended up putting. That urn does make a reappearance. There's another urn in this room that does not make a reappearance. So I hope you like that urn and not the other urn that I'm going to put up later. Actually, am I going to put it up now? Oh, I'm putting it up now. Oh, I am. But I also put the fire pokers because I like the fire poker decoration. I think it's really cool. And for the longest time, by which I mean one other time, I oh my, this is so dumb. I took the fire poker from the debug menu and I used the tool mod, and I spent like way longer than I'm willing to publicly admit moving the fire poker and positioning it so that it was like on the hearth and also leaning against it, like against the fireplace. And when I say I spent way too long on it, I mean I spent way longer than I could ever justify on a build I'm never gonna share. It was kind of dumb. And now I can never edit that room because my fire poker. Anyway, that was me using Tool to lean a painting against the wall. Oh, hello, build, you're skipping. That's the extent to which I really use Tool in most builds, and largely in this build. I was considering using it in another part of the build, but I later found out that the object I wanted to use it on does not rotate about the axis I wanted to rotate it on, and I got annoyed. And so I just kind of gave up on that. Anyway, we're finally outside. Uh, I always do my exteriors kind of last after I've established the interior, which is good. Like if I ever want to change the interior and like the shape of the building, it's just something I notice about myself. Like I didn't raise it up onto a foundation until then. That's very normal for when I build. And I also didn't do any landscaping, which again is usually very normal for how I build, unless I get stuck on the inside. Anyway, here's the pond I was so excited about. It's nothing special. It's like a pond-shaped pond, but I think for a pond-shaped pond, it's pretty nice. It's gonna have water in it. I know, fancy. We're getting real wild here. Water in a pond. Look at that. Look at that. We're living life now. And I ended up putting a bunch of algae and like moss in it and grass, and I just kind of made it very green, very full of stuff. And these lily pads, I think these lily pads are really nice. And a turtle log, you can have turtles in your pond. There's no Nightwish song about turtles, but boy had there should be on their next album. That'd be really cool. Alright, I'm sorry for sniffing a bunch. I don't think I'm sick. I think it's just the fact that it's slightly not warm around me. It could be anything. I just get like this sometimes. But here's my swans! Oh, they look so cute in the screenshots. And those fireflies look really great at night. I didn't add a picture of that in the build, but I checked in game and they look really nice. I kind of wish I'd added a bench over by the pond. I don't, unfortunately. But I do add like a path and a tree you could sit under theoretically. I was gonna put like a vent under the tree and I forgot. But you know what? That's life. Oh, and this log. I really love this log too. Sometimes I wish I could use it more, but like, when am I gonna be putting like a log somewhere? I don't know. I also I also feel like my desire to put logs around builds is like an extension of my never ending want to go like get lost in the woods. Like there's a supermarket that I sometimes go to with my mom. Oh yeah, the landscaping just like happened. The video was fucked up. I sometimes go to the supermarket with my mom, and right next to it, there's like a bunch of undeveloped woods, and like clearly you can get in there. Like there's a gate that like construction vehicles go through to get in there, and they close the gate. But if I'm on foot, I can get past any gate because I'm cool like that. So I'm always thinking to myself, I want to go in the woods. I want to go in the woods. I want to see what's in the woods. My mom's always like, you can't go in the woods. I need to go home, and I can't let you get lost in the woods. You're going to take longer than I'm going to take getting groceries. Also, don't go in the woods. But I want to go in the woods. And like, there's other woods out there, but it's not the same woods. Anyway, this is my woods now. This is how I get past my mom saying I can't get lost in the woods. I ended up using a lot of white flowers, specifically hydrangeas, because I thought they looked really beautiful. And I'm gonna be honest, for as much hell as it is to like work with hydrangeas and get them to like look nice and get them to stay this color, they do look beautiful. And in The Sims, you don't have to like add, you don't have to add like I was gonna say acetone. No, that's not gonna make your hydrangeas blue. You don't have to add soil acidifier and like alkaline and stuff. I'm blanking on what it's called, but there's like specific product you can buy to like change the pH of your soil for your hydrangeas. But white hydrangeas are like the hardest to keep because they're the most sensitive to pH change, and just like sunlight and stuff. Anyway, I think they're really beautiful. In the Sims, you don't have to maintain them, or you also don't have to maintain these stone paths. Unlike like real life, you do have to lay these by hand, and it does take forever, and you do want to die when you're done with it. But I do think it looks really nice how it turned out. And it gave me like a solid, maybe like 45 minutes of podcast listening to, which I'm always down for because the podcasts I listen to are funny as hell. Uh, I forget which podcast this was. Oh no, this was the Snark Tank. I don't think there's a big overlap between Snark Tank listeners and Sims Speed build watchers, but if there is, please let me know because I think that'd be really funny. Yeah, it's a fun podcast. It's for adults though, so if there's any kids watching, first of all, why are you watching this? And I've said several no words. Oh my god. And also, yeah, it's fun though. I like it. Also, the video's unhappy with me again. I'm sorry. But this was like a couple of final details I wanted to put in the nursery because I realized I didn't really do much to decorate it and I kind of forgot it. By this point, I think I'd already like come back into the game and I was like, well, gotta make it look complete. And I just put some cats because children like cats. Children do like cats, and cats sometimes like children. I know that one of my high school teachers, when she had a baby, her cat was not a fan of that. And I know that my cats, if they were around a baby, would not be a fan of that. They're not even a fan of each other. Anyway, there's no cats in this build, so like I'm sure the baby, if it existed, it would be fine. I don't know. Maybe one of you will put a baby in this house. I don't want to. I don't care enough about babies. I'm sorry, that's mean, but it's true. I've never been one to like play The Sims and be like, I want to make my sim have like a million children. Just isn't my thing. I've done that like a couple times. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, I'm basically just like fine decorating all the places I did not bother to decorate earlier. Like I put a tea maker in the kitchen, a tea kettle in the kitchen. I took out that wall because I didn't like how it was conflicting with another art. Honestly, half my decisions in this build were just what's gonna make those arches work. Not even half, like none of the one decision, maybe two. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought for a second there. But here is the entryway. I know, and it's already gone. Oh, and here was I was decorating the mantle. That urn does not stay there. Hope you didn't like it. Probably hate your guts too. And here's a bird bath. Haha, look at me. I'm talking about the build. But no, there's actually, I wanted a degree of like things in the build that related to like associations I had with the songs. That was like bird things, like a bird bath. I put swans in the pond. I ended up putting some of those bird feathers up. I wanted like somewhere for a poet. I wanted this very light color scheme in a lot of places. But I also like contrasting that with the dark in that bedroom upstairs. Also, this book is CC. Should probably mention there's a little bit of custom content. Nothing essential, but like just as a heads up, it's also in the download link. I put links to all of it. But yeah, I wanted like the light and the dark. I wanted the birds. Uh, I know that there's a lyric about an ugly duckling, so I put some ducks in the pond and a duck feather on the mantle, a sparrow's carol. I could have totally put a bird feeder, but I didn't want to do that, so I put the bird bath instead. Uh, One thing I totally could have added that I kind of wish I could go back and add, but hey, I'm letting go, I'm letting things be, was a well, because one of the lyrics that's repeated is, um, in my heart, a well of love flowing free so far, or be my heart a well of love flowing through free so far above. Sorry, that was a struggle to get out. But that's a lyric I really like. And I kind of wanted to reference that. I didn't. Anyway, here's me playing with the mantle to put like some little stuff leaning on it. I did that. I think it's a cool effect. It's also a pain in the ass to do because you can't touch the mantle with your selection tool when you're using tool, which is also the same button to use the gravity pull feature. So I was just kind of I was just kind of struggling with that. Anyway, I skip over putting in the second bird. It's a bird. I hope it has a good day. You don't need to know what a bird looks like. Everything I do in this build, I guarantee someone else has done way better and in much better resolution and detail. So I'm not going to stress myself out with over explaining the technical aspects. This is not a technical exposition. This is a narrative experience. But yes, so really now I'm just kind of finalizing the decorations going around throughout the build. I have a very disjointed way of building things, but hey, that's life. There's my last piece of custom content, by the way. It's that painting up there with that collage wall. Wow. The book in the office, or the study. And then I put a salt and pepper shaker on the dining table. And those are just some little touches I wanted that weren't in the game, so I said, I'm gonna put them in the game. I also just liked how they looked. But again, they're linked. And where am I going? Oh, here I am. Okay. And then this was just like me finalizing the front of the build. You're not going to see me put in a mailbox. I added one in during the screenshots this time. I've been forgetting mailboxes lately, which is weird because I usually remember them eventually. But I don't know. I think it's just like the fact that I'm recording kind of psychs me out and I forget things I normally wouldn't, which honestly is pretty normal for me whenever I get nervous. Like, I play violin and I perform with an orchestra, and I do know the music I'm performing. It's just I get really nervous and really psyched out sometimes, so I don't always perform it as well as I play it in rehearsal. It's like that. It's just annoying, but that's life. Anyway, here's my laundry line. I like this laundry line. I think it's cute. And I like how I put some stones. Oh, I didn't put the stones underneath it yet, but I do put some of those stones underneath it. I make this little area in the back over here kind of like a little bit more private in a sense. Private from the swans. You don't want swans judging your laundry and your choice of clothing. And I ended up putting some container gardening, some raised beds. That's what they're called. Is that what they're called? I'm losing my mind. I ended up putting some raised garden beds, I guess I'm gonna call them that now. I I put those in surrounding the path. I haven't put them in yet. I do have a little table out here. Oh yeah, I should probably mention this is one of many instances where I use like one item from a pack and nothing else from it. So there's my one item from Dine Out. I have like one item from Romantic Garden. It's those little thistle bushes. I like explained this more in the whole write-up I did for the build on my little website thing. That there's a bunch of packs. I use like one item, two items, and they're not essential for function, but like they're technically listed as being required for the build. The same with the CC. They're not required for function. They're just completely aesthetic, and I think that they like looked nice. And I said, I'm not gonna compromise myself. I'm just gonna do whatever the hell I want. So those are just peppered throughout. If you noticed them, you can say to yourself, "Hey, wait, I don't want to download that," or "Hey, wait, I want to download this build, but I don't have that pack." So, but there's obviously some stuff you will need, like cottage live. If you don't have cottage living, I don't think this build's gonna work because the doors, windows, walls, so much of this is cottage living. But if you don't have something like jungle adventure, then you just lose out on a little bit of landscaping. Speaking of landscaping, we are coming to a close here. I don't remember exactly how long this video is, but I do remember this was the last thing I did. So I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with me ranting about a song you probably haven't listened to by a band you may or may not listen to. Uh, as I build an entire house dedicated to that song, more or less. And with these last few raised beds, I probably shouldn't end the video yet. It's not over. Oh no. Um, yes. Yes. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'm glad I did a second one because this was a lot of fun. It was stressful and I put it off, but the end product makes me happy. And as they say, all that matters is what makes you happy at the end of the day. And what makes me happy is making this build and being able to talk about it at length, way too much length, with a bunch of non existent strangers. And for that, I thank all of you. And look at that, that was the urn that was replaced. And this is the dining room. It's very sparse, but like it functions. Here's the kitchen. Look at her. She's cute. The sink. The stove. The office. Look at me. I know what rooms are called. Anyway, this is actually finally ending now. And with that, I will say, it's almost over, it's almost over. Goodbye.